When Marcus told me he had $27 million in his bank account, I thought he was joking. I mean, we met at a coffee shop where he was counting quarters to buy a muffin. But 3 months into dating, he showed me his phone with the banking app open, and there it was. $27,400,016. I nearly choked on my latte. That's when everything in my life changed, and I thought I'd hit the jackpot. Little did I know, I was about to witness the most insane 24 hours of my entire existence. Marcus wasn't your typical rich guy. He drove a beat-up Honda, lived in a tiny studio apartment, and wore the same 3 shirts on rotation. When I asked him about the money, he just shrugged and said his crypto investments finally paid off. He'd been holding on to some obscure digital currency for years, and apparently it exploded overnight. The guy went from broke college student to multimillionaire while sleeping. But here's the thing about sudden wealth that nobody tells you. It attracts vultures from every corner of the earth. The first red flag appeared when Marcus started getting weird phone calls at 3 in the morning. He'd step outside to take them, whispering in hushed tones about transfers and offshore accounts. When I confronted him about it, he claimed it was just his financial advisor helping him move the money around for tax purposes. That sounded reasonable enough, so I didn't push further. But then things got really strange. One evening, we were having dinner at this fancy restaurant Marcus insisted on trying. The waiter came over and handed him a note from someone at another table. Marcus read it, and his face went completely white. He grabbed my hand and practically dragged me out of there, mumbling something about needing to leave immediately. I kept asking what was wrong, but he wouldn't tell me anything. He just kept checking his phone every 30 seconds, and I could see his hands shaking. The next morning, I woke up to Marcus pacing around his apartment like a caged animal. His laptop was open on the kitchen counter, and he was frantically typing away. When I looked over his shoulder, I saw multiple browser tabs with different banking websites. That's when he finally broke down and told me everything. The money wasn't from crypto at all. 3 weeks earlier, he'd received a mysterious wire transfer from an account he'd never seen before. $27 million just appeared in his checking account with no explanation. At first, he thought it was some kind of banking error that would get corrected eventually. But days turned into weeks, and nobody came looking for the money. So he started spending small amounts, thinking maybe he'd won some lottery he forgot about entering. But those phone calls he'd been getting weren't from financial advisors. They were from people claiming the money belonged to them. People who didn't sound like the type you'd want to upset. Marcus showed me the latest message he'd received. It was a text with just an address and a time. Today at noon. The address was for an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. Whoever sent that message wanted their money back, and they wanted it now. But here's the problem. When Marcus tried to access his account that morning, the balance showed zero. $27 million had vanished overnight, just as mysteriously as it had appeared. We never found out who took the money or why it was in Marcus's account in the first place. The police couldn't help because technically no crime had been committed. The money disappeared from his account, but it was never his to begin with. Marcus went back to counting quarters for coffee. And I learned that sometimes the most incredible stories are the ones that end without any answers at all.